The world is changing rapidly, and technology is at the forefront of this change. Product and services are being redefined by how technology and the lines between the industries are blurring. In this context, it's more important than ever for women to take a leading role in technology and product sector. I have the privilege of leading Nasscom Women Product Charter, which is focused on creating a community that celebrates the amazing work of women in product. I have had the opportunity to meet and interact with amazing leaders who are leveraging this technology to create meaningful change in their respective industries. I'm Shreya and I'm the host for today's episode, and I'm thrilled to have Rashi Gupta with us, who's the co-founder and chief data scientist of Rezo.ai. At Rezo, they are disrupting the way businesses approach customer engagement and support, and I'm excited to learn more about Rashi's journey and insight on this intersection of technology and product. Rashi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Rashi. For all our listeners who don't know you, Rashi has a doctoral degree from the University of Helsinki and double masters from IIT Delhi. Rashi is an accomplished expert in data mining, development statistics, computational strategies for handling complex data sets. Her career spans over more than a decade, with stints as an academic researcher, professor, and more recently as a leader in the technology industry. At Rezo.ai, Rashi has been instrumental in driving companies' mission to enable businesses to leverage the power of AI for smart decision making. Today, we will be diving deeper into her experiences, insights, and perspectives on a range of topics that are related to data science, entrepreneurship, and women in technology. Once again, Rashi, we are thrilled to have you here.
Pleasure mine.
So, Rashi, let's get started. When I was doing a research, and I was just researching a lot of articles, and I was reading about what you do at Rezo.ai, I also noticed that you have a wide range of experiences and expertise. So looking back at your career journey so far, can you tell us about the major inflection points that led you to become an entrepreneur? And what were some of the key experiences or decisions that helped you towards your path for entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so one inflection point that got me to look through, to quit my job. I was doing very well, and I decided to quit my job because, in a job, right, you are larger organization. You're always asked to think limited, right? And that limitness, right, to limit your thought process, do this much, and you're not supposed to think beyond. I think that was a factor I was not enjoying. And I used to put forward ideas every now and then, what do you think about this? And, decently connected people. But somehow, and I could see, in the automation space, I had like a lot of mathematics I had done, a lot of modeling I had done, natural language processing, machine learning. And I could see that whole space was wide open, and these ideas not getting accepted was really, becoming a bottleneck as to what do you do? I was not enjoying. As a result, I decided that, if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, might as well just quit. I understand when you close all taps, what do you do, right? I mean, so I took that hard decision and started Rezo. Did a lot of groundwork before I went into this space. So that was my inflection point, that I was just not enjoying, and I just decided to take a plunge.
That's actually quite interesting. So I kind of echo with your idea that, unless you don't enjoy your work, what you're doing, then you should be kind of figuring out where you want to be and where would you want to use your skill set. So I do have a follow-up question to that. You're quite experienced in developing statistical and computational strategies for handling complex data sets. You are a chief digital officer at Rezo. How have you applied this expertise in Rezo.ai's product offerings?
So when I was doing my PhD, I did it. I finished it in 2009 from University of Helsinki, and this was in majorly computational, sciences. I was working with genome, proteomics sort of data. And then when I started to look at the industry data, then I also was with JNU for a good period of 3 years, as an assistant professor, again working in the same space. And then I realized that, these models that I had built up could very easily be applied to the industrial data, which is textual data. And, good 80-85% of the data that you see in the industry is not a structured data. It is all unstructured data. So unstructured data is what I was, I was looking here and there, the voice and the text and the, chat and everything, all around me. So I just, the computational model that I had developed, I had seen how they were being applied in the gene genome, and then I said, and that was the most, I would say that area, even today, the kind of models they do is like, it's the benchmarking, right? That is the highest level of modeling that you can bring on the table, because gene genome, the amount of data is humongous. So I got the luxury to be able to pick up on that data very early and do this shift from computational biology to move to industrial data, bring about that sort of machine learning that I was doing on gene genome to be applied to the industrial data, like the textual data, the voice data. It was remarkable. I mean, for me, transition from one space to the other, I did it with the ease. Usually people ask me that, that ease is not very easy from an academics, a shift to and the industry, and not even to the industry, you start your business, because that shift is not very easy. Not many people are able to do it. But I just, God was very kind. My better half was always helping me out as to, he was showing me the path that, this is what the product is. I was majorly a innovation all throughout my life, all throughout my journey. And then, working with him, looking into the perspective, his network, his colleagues, my network, from IIT, when I looked through, met people, good people, they were putting ideas, and I was challenging problems out there, but not blending what we had done so far into the products, right? So that is where the whole concept came in. And currently at Rezo, we are building some world-class thought process. We're building a world-class team where the product is the core. So I tell you, my sales team is very brief today, 3 to 4 people, and I do the sales as well. And I think the reason I'm able to sell very well is just because the product is so good, right? We don't invest our time in doing the sales. We invest our time in building the product, and then with the power of the product that we have built, right, that does the selling. So I think if you change the thought process, right, a lot of companies, they don't invest their energies in building the product. They build their energies in building the sales team. But the idea is, if you do it reverse, right? I mean, we have seen that progress, and that it's playing in our favor. And I today, like yesterday, I was having a discussion with my team. He says, let's cut down on the sales team, right? I mean, really not required to have a very elaborate team. If the product is good, the selling will happen.
Yeah, that's really nice. Like you said, if the product is good, you don't have to find customers. But I had a different question planned, but the follow-up question from what you just said, I'm actually interested to know. So you said you were already working in academia and you had the skill set when you got into Rezo. You kind of took those things and build your own product. I want to know, so how much time or how much of effort had gone from transitioning from an academic background to a completely different entrepreneurship, which is a totally different ball game, as people say. You have to really think about running the company, paying out salaries and stuff. So how much time did you take to adapt there, and how was that journey? And what was, like, if there was any particular thing that you remember which was a challenge, and how you kind of overcame that, or found a solution for it?
Yeah, so it didn't happen overnight, right? I mean, you're an academician. The thought process is to do research papers. And now the idea is to do international or whatever, industry patents is what the thought process is. So that shift itself is quite big. But if you look in the US and UK and all the other places, that's the core that any academician is looking at. They like to collaborate with the industry problem, and they try to bake those problems and find solution and do those deployments. So that was broadly my thought process. Sorry, I missed the question.
So my question was, like, how much time did it take for you to have that idea? So basically you had an idea, you kind of knew how that was going to be, but to actually build it. So from idea, from 0 to 1, how much time did it take, and what was the major challenge there?
Yeah, so I did JNU for good 3 years. Then I was in the industry for 5 years, right, working with 2 different companies. So slowly the change was happening, and then one fine day I said what I wanted to build, right? I knew how to do innovations, right? I knew how to publish papers. I knew how to take a plunge, right? Untapped areas, how to find the threats and how to build a bridge out of there. So I knew that. And then the problems were humongous, right? And I thought, let's take a plunge. In worst situation, what will happen? I'm not losing on to, because I was not enjoying. So I took that plunge, but not the first day. There was a lot of hit that I've closed all means of drawing any salaries, no money flowing my way. And I used up all my investments that I had saved. And then obviously there is a lot of repent. There are days it's like, why did you take that decision? It was a hard one, right? So that,
sure
those feelings happen very on and off. And then you did not even have a problem at hand, because first year is primarily when you do a startup, unless and until you know the idea. Most of the people don't even know, right? So that first prototype that you have to build, right? You have to find a company, you have to find an idea, you have to build a prototype, you have to ask a large enterprise to be able to test it out, to roll it out in a beta sort of a format, to do a UAT. If that is not happening, right, you are, all your hard work is gone. So I was not even ready that, what is going to happen. Now we are a 100 people team. There is this cash flow that we have to look into, bringing the right talent, retention of the talent. The problems are growing, but the idea is I'm not forced to look at all the problems day one, right? These challenges are coming as the company is growing. So it's a slow process, evolution. It's a slow evolution, and that's how it is, right? I mean, if you take that plunge, I'm really loving it. I really look forward to land up to my office every single day. I don't miss my office any single day. I'm always every single day there.
That's really wonderful. Very few people have that. So good to know that. So I'm gonna pick your brain on this whole thing when you said from an academician to an entrepreneur. So I have a follow-up question. So now I know that your career has been phenomenal till now, and you've worked in various fields. So you've developed a lot of skills as you have grown in your journey. A lot of them have been core skills, hard skills, soft skills, right, that have helped you succeed as a data scientist, researcher, educator, and now an entrepreneur. What do you consider your greatest strength, and how have you leveraged that to achieve your goals?
So 2 strengths I would like to put. One is never give up. Irrespective of the circumstances, I'm always there. I always fight back. I'm a warrior, I could say. The second is I don't dilute. When I'm forced in situations where, people say this idea is not so good, or when I'm making a product, or, I'm in a company of people who may or may not like what I am projecting to them. Sometimes it's not always this is encouraging. I think they're doing it with the right intent. Sometimes they also want to basically, just chuck you out. And so the idea is you will have to have your own filter. So I don't dilute myself. I just listen to their comments, digest it, come back. But the idea is don't dilute the value that you're bringing on the table when people are putting forward harsh words. So find people who have a good intent. You will be able to sail through. But yeah, you find a lot of people when you are on this journey, right? You find a lot of people who would like to beat you. That always happens. But I think the idea is eventually, if they see that this lady is just not getting, she's just there, right? Irrespective of whatever. So I have got that as a lot of appreciation. They see that she's always there. She comes back. I think I've been a couple of clients where, I've gone the first month, second month, third month. Can I have more volume? Fourth month. I'm not happy with the volume that you're giving me. I can do more. And these guys have loved me for the fact that I just show up, right? I mean, I'm not even, the person that I should show and say, ki, but I have to build this organization. So I always go back. I like to have connect with the companies that I'm doing. I myself visit them every single month with, this is what I have built. This is where your business is growing. So, those are the basics. But yeah, don't dilute yourself and never give up. So those are the 2 mantras.
I think that they are very, very critical if you are to build a successful startup. And I also feel that a lot of startup founders, when I talk to them, some of them have pointed the same thing out, that focus is something that is really, really important. Like people will throw 100 ideas at you, your product, so you have to keep your focus, and you have to know that this is going to add to either what you're building, and just not listen to everything that comes on the table. So I can understand that from where you're coming. So I also want to know, what would you suggest for our listeners who are tuning into this episode today? How do you cultivate some of those skills, and as they are growing professionally? And I want to also know, how have you built this culture within Rezo.ai? About believing in yourself and, being really vocal about what you're feeling and staying focused and, so how have you brought that in Rezo.ai?
Yeah, so at Rezo, there is just a lot of work. So anybody who joins us, I've seen people who say that I've been sitting on the desk for 6 months and there was no task, right? I mean, people when they join us. But here they say in 3 months I've done what I would have done in larger organization for a period of a year. So we actually have so much on the table for people to grab. And then when people are grabbing it, right, I mean, I make sure that my team, I give them that whole perspective, and then I stand by. I just nurture them that, pick up this, show me this. I'm very, like, every alternate day I'll put up a meeting, I'll give a problem, and I'll just make sure that the evolution for that individual is happening. And I give them the raw input, what I am wanting for them to start, and what is the end output. And I basically keep amending their their trajectories where they are progressing. Now it could be a data science, it could be a product, it could be a technical guy, it could be my QA, it could be anybody, it could be my business analyst who's just writing SQL queries, it could be somebody who's building the dashboard. So the idea is, this is my input, this is where I have to go, and there are various people who are working towards that end goal. So that end goal is defined for each of them, and then I make sure
but
that
they're free to pick the path.
Yes, we don't dictate, but the idea is, this is my end. We do not negotiate on the output. So output in a minimalistic time, and it's really pushed, like you have to do it, right? So, and then you cultivate, right? You stand by them, you nurture them. They also sometimes have a hard time, but the idea is you're there to support them.
Absolutely.
You just give them that support, and they always come back. So there's a lot of learning is what we are building at Rezo. So
that's great. That's good to know. I also want to know, like, often in these journeys, whether as an entrepreneur or as a professional, we land up at the dead ends. Okay, something which we actually tried to implement in a product for a really long time, but the output was not desired. So we could call them that they were dead ends or failures, right? So how do you deal with those kind of situations? And when your team kind of faces that, how do you help them out?
See, when you're building something, you're building knowledge, you're building asset. It may be that I'm not able to leverage it maybe for a year, 2 years, but I have built science. So I think something that I built, I would say 3 years back, I built something, and I was told that we can't take it to market. It's very confusing. My investor says the pitch is getting very confusing. You have too many things that you're putting on the table. So I said, okay, I withdrew everything, and I said, okay, let's put it on the back burner. We are not taking it to the market, but I built something, and it was there. Now, when this has gone in the market, right, and the need for my idea, which was developed 2.5 years, 3 years back, is in the market now. So I'm just bringing all of that back. So that's the construct that we do, right? You reach dead ends. There is no denial on that. But the idea is, I think you just, unless until there is a market fit at that point of time, you can't roll the product. So you will have to hold back. You will have to find alternate ways. Sometimes you have to shelf product for 2-3 years. I've done that myself.
Okay.
Like 3 years, I just shelved it. I said, I can't take it to the market.
Market is not ready,
or the customer, the evolution currently is not there. COVID has really aggravated a lot of things because, a lot of automation, which was at the back burners, right? I mean, this whole period, the contact center people, the enterprises came to a standstill. So they were forced to look into the automation because if something like this is happening again, how would they operate? So they were forced to look into it, and hence now there's a lot of realization that people are generating data. They want to look, what do you do with the data, right? So that is where we are helping them.
Yeah, great. So I'm going to dive into a slightly different scenario here. Like, as I told you, a lot of our audience are either building products, they're entrepreneurs, or they're working in larger companies, building products. They're primarily product professionals. So for them, as well as for others who are listening in, I want to know that with so much of innovation happening in the startup ecosystem, do you think that there is a greater need for product managers in the industry in days to come? And if yes, what skill set will you look for if you are hiring, and if you are going to hire a product manager for Rezo now?
So we are hiring, very many product managers, and I think product managers could be, that is how we are seeing in our organization. They are holding the fort of what we are envisaging and what is my operation team building. So that gap is what they are filling. Yes. They know what I am taking to the market, what I would like to take to the market, what is the demand in the market. And my implementation team, for example, has built X. Now the distance from a X to to the final product, which I would like to cater to the enterprises, is why that journey, the difference is what I am, these guys are helping me. It could be from, fine tuning of the voice. We do a lot of voice. How is it coming out? Is the, what is the thought process like? How is the output being displayed? Is it in the form that can be consumed, not consumed? So that whole thought process, right, is what these guys are holding. I get them to meet a lot of my clients so that it doesn't go filtered. I want them to hear from the source. This is what they ask. Isn't I in rotation? I'm taking a lot of my product managers to the meeting so that this is your account. I mean, in a way, this is your client. I'm just assisting you. But the point is to get down to that integrities, right? That smaller details. I really will not be able to handle every single details, right? I know the broader structure, but somebody will have to work out to be able to fine tune all of that. And then once I look through the final product, then we release it in to the enterprise. And it's so for every release, though the product is core, like is that we have built the core, still those fine tuning, there are these, we have for every account, we have a lot of product managers who are just understanding the ask, fine tuning whatever has to be fine tuned to be able to make it like a successful sort of a rollout for my enterprises.
So I guess the key, what you've just explained to me, is that the one skill that you would want in all the PMs or product managers or professionals is understanding your customer and keeping customer at the center of everything and developing the features of the product.
And the thought process is something you hear from them and then you go reverse because you know what we have built, right? You are already aware of that. Then how do you structure this to be able to cater? So and again, you have standard dashboards. Sometimes there are these twos and fro's, but broadly, like I would say, a lot of clarity in thought to be able to envisage what we have built, what plus and minuses needs to be done, what kind of output we would like to show, right, in the first cut. So that is what the thought process we are looking at.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people will echo with what you're saying. I think this kind of remains the core when you're building any product or you're working on any product. So before we kind of just wrap it up, the focus here is that we are building this community for women product professionals to help them grow in their careers and take on these, leading roles in technology and product. So, and you've been a role model inspiration to many women who are there. What's the one advice that you would give to them, to women who are either in this field or are looking to build their careers in product and technology? What's the one or two advice for them?
So I think women by default can do a lot of juggling. They know how to move a lot of parallelly move a lot of these, juggle with multiple things together. So the construct is that, the construct broadly is that, just understand the opportunities is massive, right? You just need to decide that you want to get onto this track. And I think I think they can do this multitasking. They can understand various prospects of the outcome that they would like to demand. I mean, they're looking at, the enterprise may be looking at. And I think if they have that clarity of thought and they can patiently just understand what it is, they're good at building relationships as well. So it's all about, understanding the ask, building relationship, looking through, what has to be given out. And then if you have the basic skill set that a product manager should have, right, the clarity, putting things together, drafting like a BDR sort of a construct. So if you do that, then I think you're sorted there.
Great. So thank you for all the insights, Rashi. This was wonderful talking to you, but I'm not going to let you go just like that. I do have a fun segment which we call this and that, which is like a rapid fire. I have few this or that scenarios for you. Let's hear from you. Which one would you pick? And you can only pick one and it has to be like a rapid fire.
I can't pick two.
No, it's just two options. So if you pick and stick only one.
Sure.
Right? So are you ready?
Okay.
Research or entrepreneurship? Your pick.
Entrepreneurship.
Oh, that was very quick. That's right. Nice. Statistical analysis or machine learning?
Machine learning.
Okay. Academic publishing or industry patents?
Industry patents.
University or industry research?
Industry research.
Funding or organic growth?
Organic growth.
Data-driven decisions or intuition?
All data.
All data. Wow, that's I mean, chief data scientist talking about data. Yes, that was actually expected. So Helsinki or Delhi?
I would say Helsinki.
Really? Why?
It's
Okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful city.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay, algorithms or human judgment?
I would say human judgment.
Really, that's I think very apt with what is happening in the field of ChatGPT, generative AI. You're picking human intelligence, sir.
See, human intelligence, irrespective, because these algorithms are being built by the humans, right?
Yeah.
So what you are putting is what you are, what you're
Getting.
seeding is what you're receiving. But human intelligence is like, really, really, if you do it in a good way, I think that's the forefront.
Okay, thank you so much, Rashi, for talking to us. And any last parting thoughts for women who are listening or our listeners?
Yeah, I would say for all the women out there, I think just stay strong with the concept that you have built and where you want to progress. Don't dilute. That's the mantra. Just go for what you have thought about and you will make it happen.
Thank you, Rashi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks.